I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, staring at a wedding photo hanging on my best friend's wall, and slowly realized the man smiling in that picture was my husband. In that moment, everything inside me went quiet, because one question kept repeating in my mind. How long had they been lying to me? And what I was about to uncover was far worse than betrayal. I still remember the exact sound my heels made on the cobblestone street that morning. Sharp, confident, echoing through the quiet neighborhood like I owned the world. It was a Tuesday in early spring in Florence. The kind of morning where the cold hadn't fully left, but the sun insisted on hope. I had just picked up a bottle of red wine from a small corner shop, smiling to myself because this visit was long overdue. Sophia had been my best friend for over 10 years. We met at university, two girls far from home, clinging to each other through unfamiliar streets, late-night fears, and dreams we were too afraid to say out loud to anyone else. We promised we would always show up for each other. And we did. Through heartbreaks, through career struggles, through the quiet victories no one else noticed. But lately, Sophia had changed. Just busy, she kept saying over the phone. Work has been crazy. But her voice, it had lost something. Warmth, ease, honesty. So I decided to surprise her. No call, no message, just me, showing up like I always had. That was my first mistake. Her apartment sat on the second floor of an old building wrapped in ivy, the kind that looked romantic from the outside but held shadows within. I climbed the narrow staircase, my heart light, already imagining her reaction. The laugh, the hug, the way she would say, "You should have told me you were coming." I knocked. Once, twice. Silence. I frowned. "Sophia?" I called, leaning slightly closer to the door. Nothing. For a moment, I considered leaving. But then I remembered the spare key. She had given it to me years ago, back when trust between us wasn't something that needed to be questioned. For emergencies, she had said. I guess I believed this counted. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. "Sophia?" The moment I entered, something felt off. The air smelled different. Not unpleasant, just unfamiliar. A hint of cologne. Something woody, masculine. I paused, my fingers tightening slightly around the wine bottle. "Sophia?" I called again. Still no response. The apartment looked neat, too neat. The cushions were perfectly arranged, the surfaces spotless. It didn't feel like her. Sophia was never careless, but she was never this controlled. A strange unease crept into my chest. I took a few slow steps forward, and then I saw it. At first, it was just a frame on the wall above the fireplace. Elegant, intentional. I moved closer. Something inside me already tightening, warning me, begging me not to look too closely. But I did. And in that moment, everything stopped. Because the man standing beside Sophia in that wedding photograph was my husband, Adrian. My breath caught in my throat. I blinked once, twice, but the image didn't change. There he was, in a black tuxedo, smiling, his arm wrapped around Sophia, who stood in a white wedding dress, her head resting gently against him like she belonged there, like she had always belonged there. "No," I whispered. My fingers went numb around the wine bottle. This isn't real. But it was. It was real in the way that truth doesn't ask for permission before it destroys you. My heart didn't break. It froze. A quiet, suffocating stillness spread through my body as my mind scrambled for explanations that didn't exist. A joke, A photo shoot, a coincidence, anything, anything but this. Then, a soft sound behind me. Not the front door. The slow creak of a bedroom door opening. I turned, and there she was. Sophia! Standing just outside her bedroom, her face pale, her eyes wide. Not with surprise, but with fear. She had been inside the entire time. She heard me. She just didn't come out. The realization hit deeper than the photo. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Her eyes shifted to the photo, then back to me. "You weren't supposed to see that," she said quietly. The words sliced through the silence. "Not supposed to?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "Sophia, what is this?" She stepped forward slowly, cautiously, like I might shatter at any second. "Please, let me explain." "Explain?" I let out a broken laugh. "Explain how my husband is in your wedding photo?" Tears filled her eyes instantly. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I snapped, my voice echoing through the room. "Because from where I'm standing," my voice cracked, "it looks like you married my husband." She closed her eyes briefly, and when she opened them again, there was no escape left in them. "I did," she said. The world tilted. My ears rang. I married Adrian. And just like that, the life I thought I was living was gone. I married Adrian. The words didn't just echo in the room. They settled inside me, heavy, permanent, irreversible. I stared at Sophia, searching her face for something, anything that looked like regret strong enough to undo what I had just heard. But regret doesn't erase truth, and truth was standing right in front of me, wearing my best friend's face. "How?" I finally managed to whisper. My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. "How is that even possible?" Sophia swallowed hard. Her hands trembled slightly as she clasped them together, like she was trying to hold herself from falling apart. "It didn't start like this," she said softly. I let out a bitter laugh. It never does. Silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. Then she spoke again. "I met him before you did." The words hit me in a way I wasn't prepared for. "What?" Her eyes dropped to the floor. "Years ago. Before you and Adrian got married. Before you even knew him." My mind raced, trying to piece together a timeline that suddenly felt like it had been rewritten without me. "You're lying," I said quickly, shaking my head. "You would have told me. You tell me everything." "I wanted to," she whispered, "but by the time I realized who he was to you, it was already too late." "Too late for what?" I snapped. Her eyes lifted to mine, filled with something raw. "Too late to stop loving him." The room spun slightly. "No," I said firmly. "No, Sophia, you don't get to say that. You don't get to turn this into some tragic love story." Tears rolled down her cheeks now, but I felt nothing but a growing fire inside me. "You stood next to me at my wedding," I continued, my voice rising. "You held my hand. You smiled at me. You watched me promise my life to him." "I know," she cried, her voice breaking. "Do you think I don't remember that? Do you think that day didn't destroy me too?" "Then why did you do it?" I demanded. "Because he came back," she shouted. The words hung in the air. And suddenly, Everything went quiet again. "What do you mean he came back?" I asked, slower this time. Sophia took a shaky breath. "After you got married, I cut him off, completely. I left the city for a while, tried to move on, tried to forget everything. And for a long time, I thought I had." She paused, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "But 2 years ago, he found me again." My chest tightened. "No," I whispered. "No, that doesn't just happen." "It does when someone is looking for you," she said quietly. And he was. I felt my stomach twist. "What did he say?" Her voice dropped. "He said he made a mistake." The words pierced through me like glass. He said marrying you was the biggest regret of his life. I physically stepped back, as if the sentence itself had pushed me. "No," I said again, shaking my head. "You're lying." "I wish I was," she replied. "But he chose me." Those 4 words, they hurt more than everything else combined, because they weren't just about betrayal, they were about replacement. I felt something inside me crack, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like something that would never be whole again. "So what?" I said, my voice now eerily calm. "You both just decided I didn't matter?" "That's not true," she said quickly. "You mattered. You still matter." "Stop," I cut in sharply. "Don't say that." Silence. Cold. Final. I looked around the apartment again, the place I had walked into with love, now suffocating with lies. "How long?" I asked. Sophia hesitated. "That's not important." "How long, Sophia?" I repeated, louder this time. Her lips trembled. "A year." The number landed like a verdict. "A year," I echoed. "A whole year of lies, of shared secrets, of me going home to a man who no longer belonged to me." I nodded slowly, absorbing it. Then something unexpected happened. I smiled. Not out of happiness, but clarity. "You know what the worst part is?" I said quietly. Sophia looked at me, confused. "I would have forgiven you if you had told me the truth." Her face crumpled instantly. "I was afraid of losing me?" I interrupted. She nodded weakly. I held her gaze. "You already did." The words were soft, but they carried the weight of everything. I placed the wine bottle gently on the table, my hands finally steady. Then I turned toward the door. "Wait," she said, her voice breaking. "Please, don't just walk away." I paused, but I didn't turn back. "Goodbye, Sophia." And this time, I meant it. As I stepped out into the cold air, my hands were no longer shaking. Not because I wasn't hurt, but because something inside me had shifted. For weeks, I had felt it. The distance. The strange conversations Adrian would end the moment I walked in. The way he suddenly became interested in things he never cared about before. My finances, my business accounts, my signatures. At first, I called it stress. Then I called it overthinking. But deep down, I knew. That day, standing in Sophia's apartment, staring at that wedding photo, it wasn't the beginning of the truth. It was confirmation. Adrian didn't just betray me. He was preparing to replace me, and possibly erase me from everything we built. So I did something he never expected. I didn't confront him. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I watched. I listened. And I acted. Quietly. Over the next few weeks, I reviewed every document we signed together. I spoke to a lawyer, silently. I secured what was mine. I protected what he thought he could take. And then I found it. The one thing he thought I would never see. A document. Prepared. Unsigned. A transfer. Everything moving out of my name. The night I confronted him, I wasn't the same woman. He sat across from me, calm, confident, unaware, until I placed the document in front of him and watched his face change. "You were going to leave," I said quietly, "and take everything." Silence. For the first time, Adrian had nothing to say. "I loved you," I continued, "but I will not be destroyed by you." And in that moment, I realized something powerful. I didn't need revenge, because the truth had already done the work. His lies exposed him, his actions trapped him, and me? I walked away with my name, my dignity, my future still intact. Sophia lost a friend. Adrian lost control. But me? I found something I didn't even know I had lost. Myself. Some betrayals are not meant to break you. They are meant to reveal who you should never become again. I thought I lost everything that day. My marriage, my friendship, the life I believed in. But walking away from them was the first time I truly chose myself. Because sometimes betrayal doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to show you what you've been holding on to for too long. And in that moment, I stopped being the woman they thought they could break and became someone I finally recognized. This is Triumph Legends, where every story reveals a truth and every ending changes something. If my story stayed with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next one might stay with you even longer.